This is not a dream.
So, since it's a typical British summer day, I can't do what I was planning to do, which was, well, I can, but I'll get wet and I don't want to. Have a ride out on this and make sure everything's hunky-dory. So what we'll do instead is we'll ask the question, when you're restoring these tractors, do you use the original parts, reconditioned or otherwise, or get new parts? So the idea is, obviously, some parts you can't recondition, such as track rod ends, which both little and big and have had. And yeah, it's kind of a question we get asked quite a lot. So as far as this goes, new or original, I think we're going to go for the original block anyway. It doesn't appear to be cracked, so that's obviously there has to be some new parts in it, liners, pistons, etc. Obviously all the moving parts in the engine have to be replaced because you can't recondition a piston, or at least if you can, I've never heard of it. So what I'm talking about is such like as this fuel pump. This particular fuel pump is I think it's a CAV. It is a CAV. Which will make it an original pump for the tractor. Now the question here is, do we send it away, see if somebody can salvage it and recon it, or do we throw it in dustbin and get another one? Well, personally, I'm tempted to see if they can rescue it. We don't know how long it's been off tractor. I would say a minimum of 2 or 3 years. So, but that said, when we had this one in bits to rebuild it, I put quite a lot of the original, I don't know, I call them ancillary parts, such as power steering pump, fuel pump, injectors, alternator, starter motor, pretty much everything basically. Injector pump, but we'll get to that in a minute. And since then, most of that stuff I've put back on original has come back to bite me. We had a power steering pump failure, which is why that's a new one now, because the old one was, I don't know, it chucked a thrommy. So I chucked a thrommy and launched it across workshop. Yeah, lift pump was the first one I did. I put the original lift pump back on when we rebuilt it, and it started and ran fine. Then a week later, it failed. So rather than try and recondition the existing lift pump, I just bought a new one, and it's never let me down since. And that's 3 years ago, something like that. About tractor 3 or 4 years, something like that. All the inside bits are new: pistons, rings, valve train. Well, most at valve train, but again, it came back to bite me because I put some of the original springs and collets back on because I thought they were all right, and then they broke. It was very fortunate that I heard something going wrong and shut it down before the engine ate itself. So that's that was a lesson learned. All the working parts, you know, the main working internal parts have now been replaced on this tractor, whether I thought they needed it or not. So we shouldn't have any more problems with it. Yeah, alternator's working fine. When it does get, obviously, the full caboodle and back to showroom, I will probably put a new alternator on. Same with starter, I'll probably put a brand new starter motor on, just so it doesn't let me down in the future. Because let's face it, starter motor could be nearly 50 years old, same age as tractor. So another thing I didn't do that I should have done is the injector pump and the injectors. They were working fine, the tractor is running fine, but I didn't recondition them. I just stuck them back on because money was tight. I shouldn't have done. I should have reconditioned them. Now this, being a 1210, is fitted with a Bosch fuel pump rather than the standard, I think it was a Lucas Cav, but I might be wrong. I believe the reason behind this was, for anybody who lived through the 70s, everybody was out on strike. And to keep production going, David Brown bought a few of these Bosch pumps out of Germany and then fitted them. I believe it was only to the 1210s, but again, I could be wrong. I've never heard of another model of David Brown with these Bosch pumps on. But anyway, I didn't recondition it, I should have done. I didn't put new hoses, water hoses, and I should have done. Again, money was very tight when I was doing this. So, bit different now, you know, obviously I'm not loaded. So, and we've made the decision that since the big one is running, working, driving, doing everything it should, the other half and I have come to the decision that we're going to do this with the 880 first, because it will be quicker, it will be easier, and then we'll have a show tractor. Something else that people don't think about, but I do because I'm a bit sad, is original parts that came with the tractors, such as these top links. We have the original 1210 top link. It would have come with a 1210, not this particular one. I acquired that from a very good friend of mine who knows who he is, but he shall remain nameless. And then we've just acquired an original 880, David Brown 880 top link. Again, it would have come with the 880, not this specific 880, but a 880. And I acquired that purely by chance through a fella passing. So stuff like that I think is a nice touch when you're on a show field. You know, original equipment, so to speak. This 1210 is fitted with a pickup hitch. Obviously it's got the drawbar on because I don't have the hook, but and showing its age, 1968 880 doesn't have a pickup hitch. You could put one on. I think you could buy them. I seem to think you could get them as optional extras. But as this tractor clearly wasn't originally fitted with one, we will not be putting one on it. That tractor's sort of half of a... It gets used maybe 2-3 times a year for work, but it's there. This tractor, it'll get used for work if it needs it, but they're kind of too small for today's operations, other than a lot of them end of life, sadly, as scraper tractors. Fortunately, this one won't be one of them. We've already started with such a brand new water pump and track rod ends. I'm unsure as yet whether to rip into this engine like we did that, or you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It runs well, it drives well, starts well. The only issue is we've got a diesel leak appeared on the fuel pump, so that's going to have to come out and go for reconditioning. So what I might do is, obviously that fuel pump of big tractors to come out and go for reconning, and the pump off that one back there is to go. So what I might do is take all three off and send all three together. Make my man cry. But yeah, certainly as far as this, we're going to try to use all the original parts that we can. Obviously we can't compromise because it's not my tractor, it's being done for somebody else. So it's a bit different, it has to be right, you know, and the man's made it absolutely 100% clear that he wants it right. So it's a project. So yeah, we'll keep you updated as to how it goes. Oh, I do like those original wheel rims. Oh yes. The front wheels of this tractor will be for sale because they're the wrong ones. They are 750 16s, I think. Are they? Yeah, 750 16s. And it should be on the same front wheels as this tractor, which are 650 16s. So there'll be two front wheels for sale at some stage, but obviously they need to stay where they are so I can roll the tractor about if I need to. So the plan is now we're going to break this into three, get the engine out of it, take the crank out, send the crank away, send the block itself away for the top skimming and relining. And at the same time, this will strip the cylinder head, send the injectors, 3 fuel pumps to be reconditioned, and we'll send the cylinder head for skimming along with that, and then they mate nicely. Obviously it's not going to happen overnight. We need time, and time for me just at the moment is at a bit of a premium, so we'll but the fella says he's in no rush, so I told him it might be a week next Christmas, so we'll just have to see. Anyhow, I thought I'd share them thoughts. So most of them are probably totally rubbish, but there you go.